was just trying to reach you now. Any progress on that Southern Pacific safety story?
That's what I wanted to talk to you about, J.D. It took a lot of traveling and the asking of a lot of questions to find out just how big a job their motive power and car department is doing. But it was time well spent. I've got the material for a great feature story.
Fine, George. Here, light up and tell me about it.
Thanks, J.D. First, I called upon Southern Pacific's General Superintendent of Motive Power, V.M. Brown, at his headquarters in San Francisco. Mr. Brown briefed me on the work of the Motive Power and Car Department. He told me something of the scope and size of its operation. On a big wall map in his office, he showed me some of the places he thought I should visit to get the complete story on the building, repair, and maintenance of the rolling stock and motive power of the Southern Pacific. My tour of the system took me through 7 western states, where all along the railroad I saw men engaged in the important work of inspection, service, and repair of cars and engines. The vigilance and thoroughness with which these employees carried on their duties was everywhere evident, and as Mr. Brown had pointed out, this devotion to duty is in no small measure responsible for SP's outstanding record of passenger safety. So many huge industrial, agricultural, and recreational areas are dependent on SP service that it is an immense job to furnish and maintain transportation facilities for their use. Much of this work might seem to the casual observer to be routine, but I found on closer acquaintance that each man thoroughly knows his job, and it takes thousands of such trained men to keep SP's 1,300 passenger cars clean and in safe condition. And more thousands to maintain their more than 53,000 freight cars in first-class running order. In any one month, over 3,100 passenger trains start their journeys on Southern Pacific. And each of these trains makes many stops at terminals where the entire train is inspected and serviced. The washing and cleaning bill alone runs into millions of dollars each year. Whole trains are laundered every day at major points. Inspection and servicing of SP's more than 1,100 modern diesel units which are in daily service is a huge job too. Besides hundreds of locals and drags, 1,850 preferred freight trains with an average of over 72 cars start each month on SP. You can see what a job it is to keep them running safely and provide them with adequate power. Dieselization has been a great benefit to the railroad. With their power and mechanical superiority over steam engines, the diesels have enabled Southern Pacific to give better, more efficient service and to cope somewhat with the heavy increases in operating costs of the last few years. Maintaining so much new and complex equipment has been a challenge to MP&C Department's thousands of employees, and they have done remarkably well in meeting this challenge, learning new skills and developing greater efficiency while continuing their fine safety record. In early days, Southern Pacific, being so far from the great manufacturing centers of the East, built much of their own equipment. As a result, the Sacramento General Shops is one of the largest railroad shops in the world and is particularly remarkable for the diversity of the work carried on there. At Sacramento, SP is yearly turning out great numbers of freight cars. A modern production line has been set up to handle the job. When I was there, they were turning out 5 completed 70-ton flat cars each day. Starting with the mounted wheels, the bolsters, and other parts of the running gear are assembled into complete trucks. These are then rolled on down the line. The next job is to put the underframe on the waiting trucks. It was found that by first placing the underframe upside down, men could work on the airlines and brake rigging more comfortably and efficiently. When the work on the underside of the car is completed, it is then rolled forward to where a specially designed hoist lifts and turns the 17.5-ton underframe, placing it in its final position on the trucks. Further on down the line, men are busy riveting and welding. Decking, which has been treated at one of Southern Pacific's wood preserving plants, is placed into position. In a period of 4 years, this car line has added 9,600 freight cars to SP rolling stock. One of the most interesting industries at Sacramento is the iron and wheel foundry. All wheels for Southern Pacific's freight cars are manufactured here. Worn freight car wheels are broken up and with a charge of coke and limestone are loaded into the furnace and remelted. From the furnace, the molten metal is pouring continuously into the big ladle. From here, it is poured into smaller ladles, which are distributed by forklift truck to the wheel molds. These foundry men perform their jobs with such skill and fine teamwork that they have one of the best safety records of any unit on the railroad. Taken from the molds and are transported to the annealing pits, where internal stresses set up during casting are relieved by slow cooling. One of the most spectacular sights that I saw while I was at the foundry was at the end of the day, when the plugs in the bottoms of the furnaces were pulled, releasing the fiery molten contents. Journal bearings are used on most freight cars. Each month, many thousands of these brasses are being replaced in freight cars. These are cast in SP's own brass foundry, effecting an annual saving of hundreds of thousands of dollars to the railroad. One excellent illustration of the fine teamwork and skill that makes for perfect safety is seen in the blacksmith shop. Men, like the crew I saw there, work day after day at a huge steam hammer without accident. It seemed that no job was too big for this crew to handle with skill and dexterity. I was amazed at the ease with which they handled a glowing 6-ton piece of metal. job is too small. On one of several air hammers, I saw small tools formed for special jobs. On a huge hydraulic press, I saw center plates being formed for freight cars. 1 1/2 inch thick pieces of steel plate were pressed into shape with ease. The operator of the pantograph sets his machine to follow any desired pattern. I saw it cutting through a 2-inch steel plate. In SP's many shops, I saw a great variety of highly specialized tools operated by hundreds of skilled machine tool operators, all busy shaping, cutting, and turning axles, wheels, and many other car and locomotive parts. While at El Paso, Texas, I saw a typical shop activity in progress. Obsolete or damaged freight cars were being rebuilt from the ground up. When thus modernized, these are ready to take their place in SP's ever-growing fleet of modern freight cars. At Bayshore Coast Division shops, flat cars were being converted to so-called Piggy Back cars, specially equipped cars for carrying Southern Pacific's Pacific Motor Transport trailer vans. At Bayshore, another production line has been developed to rebuild Waukesha refrigeration and power units. Many passenger cars are equipped with 1 or 2 of these units to supply air conditioning and power to run electrical equipment. A record of service is kept, and each unit is periodically reconditioned. This is paid off in longer unit life and reduction of failure in service. Another example of the use of modern passenger car equipment that has called for new skills on the part of SP's competent car department employees. You may wonder how SP's passenger cars keep that spick and span new look. Besides routine thorough cleaning and inspection, passenger equipment at regular intervals is brought to one of the shops for reconditioning. I watched dining car 10203, assigned to service on one of SP's crack streamliners, the city of San Francisco, get a complete overhaul. The car was stripped of all furniture and fittings. Carpets, blinds, chairs, tables, silverware, doors and windows, and all kitchen equipment was removed and sent to various departments for repairing and rebuilding. The silverware, as well as all nickel-plated handles, locks and catches, and even bolts and screws, were buffed and replated. In the upholstery shop, I watched craftsmen at work. Men were busy cutting, sewing, and upholstering chairs and seats. SP's use of only the finest of fabrics and materials in the experienced hands of master craftsmen pays off in better appearance and the longer life of passenger car furnishings. Typical of SP's regard for cleanliness is the thorough cleaning that is given periodically to all carpets. Worn sections are removed and replaced. Because of the length of passenger car carpets, a special sewing machine, said to be one of the longest in the world, was built to sew the long strips together. Meanwhile, the other work on Diner 10203 had been nearing completion. Interior trim and finish were all replaced, and last-minute touches given to the painting. Finally, the car trucks, which had been completely rebuilt, were rolling into place, and the car was lowered onto them. Just 25 days from the time it entered the shop, dining car 10203 was being stocked with provisions and made ready for guests. I was fortunate while at Sacramento to be able to watch the building of SP's first dome car. The first model was planned and designed by SP's car construction engineers to work out special problems in use under Southern Pacific's operating conditions and to test passenger reaction. A completely new design resulted. A conventional streamlined passenger car was entirely reconstructed for this pilot model. Judging by the reactions of employees who made the first test runs on this dome lounge car, this type of equipment is destined for enthusiastic acceptance by SP's patrons. At Southern Pacific's modern hump yards, freight car inspection is done from towers and pits situated so the cars can be inspected from every angle. Terminals before freight trains leave, each car in the train is thoroughly checked by competent car inspectors. Much of Southern Pacific's good record of safety in train operation is due to the vigilance and alertness of its car inspectors. If defects are found, the car is tagged, and the information is relayed by walkie-talkie portable radio. The car is then removed from the train for repair. The job of maintaining Southern Pacific's diesels is getting bigger every day. The time is not too far away when SP will be 100% dieselized. While at Los Angeles General Shops, I saw the diesel engine rebuilding line. There, they have set up complete overhaul facilities for the rebuilding of units. Each part is rebuilt or replaced as necessary. This has resulted in SP's motive power forces learning new skills. In cooperation with local school authorities, as well as with locomotive builders, educational programs were set up to teach employees to handle competently the more complex and precise work that diesel repairs demand. Such has been the response of employees to this program that Southern Pacific diesel mechanics and technicians are as competent as any in the diesel industry. Here again, the assembly line technique has been applied to railroading. Diesel engines are continuously being rebuilt so that replacements are always kept ready. latest in wheel truing machines have been installed to turn and true worn locomotive wheels without removing them from the unit. The efficiency of modern diesel locomotives has been increased at every point by keeping them at work on the road with a minimum of time lost in repairs. SP's diesel shops, for example, have been equipped with drop tables to drop out defective trucks and replace them with rebuilt trucks, which are kept ready so that costly delays are avoided. Looking toward the future and the conservation of materials, SP has developed a pilot plant for the reclamation of lubricating oil. The reclaimed oil is fully the equal of the original oil. For efficiency and safety, Southern Pacific has established and maintains high standards for its equipment and materials. Modern laboratories run continuous tests on all materials and supplies to see that they meet Southern Pacific specifications. In a machine called the weatherometer, all SP paints are tested for durability and color fastness. Spectroscopes are used to determine the composition of oils and metals. Through analysis of crankcase oil, excessive wear and possible breakdown of engines may be detected. The oil testing laboratory is engaged in research to discover cheaper and better fuels and lubricants. All motive power department research and operating experience has been directed towards a goal of 1 million miles of service from each locomotive before overhaul. All Southern Pacific's technological progress is paralleled by a regular program of employee education. In specially equipped cars that cover all points on the railroad, trained instructors teach the use and maintenance of modern equipment. In the air conditioning instruction car, employees study pneumatic and air conditioning equipment. Here, using models, actual equipment, diagrams, and charts, employees learn the operation of every part of this complex equipment and study the best methods of installation and repair. In the lubrication instruction car, a similar job of teaching is carried on. Learning by demonstration and learning by doing, with the aid of actual cutaway equipment. Southern Pacific also maintains a diesel instruction car with equipment set up to simulate actual operating conditions on a diesel locomotive. The work of all operating controls and gauges is graphically displayed. Safety is the first consideration of every job that the motive power and car department carries out. Along with a program of job training, regular safety meetings and conferences are held at all points of the railroad. I attended many of these meetings and conferences and was much impressed by the interest and enthusiasm shown by employees and supervisors in discussing not only the application of safety rules, but in devising better and safer ways of doing their work.
You've done a swell job, George, in gathering the material for a great story. I'll feature it in our November issue.
Thanks, J.D. But there is one important point that should be emphasized. You see, while SP has invested vast sums in research and precision equipment for their motive power and car department, its most valuable resource and its greatest investment is in its employees. We should not lose sight of the fact that it is the individual day-by-day accomplishment of these men and women that adds up to the great work of this department. For it is only through its people working together with skill, intelligence, and safety that Southern Pacific has become the great railroad that it is today.